My name is GAMESD, and I want to be completely upfront with you with the purpose of this video. At the end of it, when all is said and done, I want to sell you on Titanfall 2. And I don't mean sell you on its concept, or certain mechanics it has, or how it looks, or even sell you on my lackluster MLG skills, or how clever I am at breaking this game down and explaining every last piece of it in excruciating detail. What I mean is, once this video is complete, or maybe even beforehand, I want you to go to Origin, or Amazon, or however you come by games, grab a copy of Titanfall 2 and play it for yourself. As this video goes on, I'll develop on my reasoning more and explain why I made this video in the first place. It will remove a little of the surprise that comes with the game, and I think for the benefit of Titanfall 2, the less you know the better. But for now, if the existence of this video, and all the words that preceded it, weren't enough to get this across, then maybe this will do the trick.
Good luck down there!
If, after all that, you're not quite convinced, then I'll continue on. This video has gone through a number of iterations as I've pondered on what to say. Originally, I was going to explain why Titanfall 2 is the closest thing to the Nintendo first-person shooter. Then I moved more towards listing off reasons why it's the future of the first-person console shooter people have been asking for since the launch of this generation of consoles. But the core of both of these arguments boil down to essentially the same thing. I'm making the case for why people should play Titanfall 2. I want to do what the developer and publisher of this title struggled to do when it was released in October 2016. I want to follow in the footsteps of previous videos, articles, essays, let's plays and content made by fans of this game for the purpose of showing off why they felt the need to dedicate their time and effort to selling you on Titanfall 2. But most of all, I just really want to talk about this game. So this is my central argument for the video. Titanfall 2 is a game worth your time, and the following is my explanation why. Firstly, let me get some point of contention out of the way that may make or break my argument. 1. I have never played the original Titanfall. Despite the fact that it came to PC and was critically lauded at the time, I wasn't sold on the idea of a multiplayer-only title. I've mentioned before that being in an arena where skill equals kills isn't always my cup of tea. This was even in light of the game's push to add story-like elements to the multiplayer experience, AI bots that occupy matches for easy kills, and not to mention its unique hook. So imagine my delight at the fact that the team that produced the original title, and were responsible for some of my favourite Call of Duty campaigns back at Infinity Ward, were producing a full single-player campaign for Titanfall 2. Combined with a positive word of mouth for the original, it was hard to pass up. So if a lot of what I'm saying here was present in the original title, well, now you know why. 2. I'm not exactly what you would call a competent first-person shooter player. As you can probably gather from the fact that I don't like multiplayer-only shooters, or my general sense of awareness in this footage, I'm probably not the person you should ask in regards to talking about the skill ceiling of Titanfall 2. And yet, of every first-person shooter I own, it's the only one in recent memory that I have dedicated evenings to playing. And unlike Overwatch, this is without the motivation of playing with my friends who have made that their go-to game. There's something to be said about a game that, even when I rank bottom of nearly every match, I enjoy every minute of it. With that out of the way then, I can make my argument. Titanfall 2 is a game you should play because there's nothing else like it. So why Titanfall 2 specifically then? After all, there are other science fiction shooters on the market. Even Call of Duty has moved to speculative combat in its new installments. But what the fiction affords for these shooters isn't as well realised as it is in Titanfall 2. This is a world that has thought out the reasons behind its fiction, the need for pilot abilities, the titans, and the wars you're committed to. It's not the most well-written reasoning, nor the most serious, but I think it's that aspect of the game I like a lot. It's obviously there to support the mechanics, like the best games. It's not the most well-written reasoning, nor the most serious, but I think it's that aspect of the game I like a lot. It's a Michael Bay rendering of a treasured 80s toy commercial cum cartoon, with the good guys and bad guys, with their own unique robots, specialities and personalities. Then of course there are 2016's other first-person power fantasies, Doom and Dishonored 2. I think that Titanfall 2 is a perfect companion piece for both these games. It takes the frantic energy of the former, and the tactics, toys and architecture of the latter, and meets in the middle with its own Saturday morning take on the common military shooter. But beyond its contemporaries, there's something about the game that I can't quite break down via other games. It's not just about how it looks or how it sounds, it's more about how it plays. Why? There's a few factors to this, but at the heart of them is one single design decision that affects it from top to toe. Titanfall 2 is designed to make you feel superpowered. Okay, so I know I said I couldn't quite break it down via other games, but stick with me a minute. Think of the games that let you step into the role of well-known superheroes like Spider-Man, the Incredible Hulk, or even Batman. At the top of your head, you can probably think of Spider-Man 2, Hulk, Ultimate Destruction, and Arkham Asylum as the go-to titles for these characters. It's not because they're the most polished, the best looking, or even the best written, but instead it's because they are the most well-realised games these characters could have. Web slinging and acrobatics has never felt quite as good as they do in Treyarch's recreation of NYC. The unstoppable nature of ploughing through cars, tearing tanks and scaling buildings feels correct in Radical's take on the Green Goliath. And Rocksteady's system-level reinterpretation of The Dark Knight hasn't been done better. Wait, why am I talking about 3 other games and I said about Titanfall 2 again? Alright. What all these titles have in common is the amount of control they give you over the spectacle of these characters. Pulling off their moves is made as effortlessly on a controller as they make them look in-game. The distance between your own ability and theirs is very small, leaving you to only worry about how to best apply these abilities. And Titanfall 2 is right in line with this thinking. Your player character both in the single player and multiplayer is a one-of-a-kind superhero on the battlefield. Sprinting and wall running? You can do that. Double jumps and air control? You betcha. Special abilities and weapon mastery? Of course. And then there's the Titans, the game's secondary layer and its unique selling point. All of these toys are a simple button press away, and frankly, no first-person shooter I can think of quite nails this sense of superpowered play. Combined with your cranked up speed, your high jumps and ability to knock people across the map, well, you should play Titanfall 2 because it feels amazing. But there's more to Titanfall 2 than its box of tricks to make you feel powerful. Its multiplayer maps and single player campaign are handcrafted around showing off your abilities in the best light possible. Multiplayer maps are built from highs and lows, vertical surfaces, pockets of hidden space and of course wide pathways for your Titan to dominate. The former aren't locked off in the way that they would be in other shooters, and there is encouragement to scale maps for tactical advantage. though keep in mind, they're not total safe zones from other pilots and their titans. The single player meanwhile instead changes the interest from what's best to tackle the situation to the developers showing off what your superpowers can do. I don't want to spoil a lot of the single player's best moments, but one level that comes to mind to show how the developers escalate an idea over time and test your superpowers would be Into the Abyss. This is a level set in a fabrication plant, where model homes are being built in real time. As you travel across this ginormous facility, these model homes become more detailed and furnished, adding spots of cover and flanking as the enemy count grows in each section. Then the level turns these models upside down. Literally. Your previous flanking spots are now vertical platforms you have to navigate, in an enemy-free section that tests not only your ability to platform, but also your spatial awareness. At the top of this challenge is another twist. These fabricated platforms are used to build model towns for combat training simulations. And so, in this third act, the game emulates its multiplayer mode by throwing waves of enemies at you in a fully 3D space. Finally, you move on to another simulation area, are given reins of your Titan again, and face a boss that tests your metal in another prefabricated town. The setting of the level and its main hook are novel, something that can be said of every level in Titanfall 2's campaign. Following in the footsteps of Half-Life 2 and even Modern Warfare, is a game that's not just interested in what you're shooting or what you're shooting them with, but where you are. More importantly, these are levels that only work in Titanfall 2. You can only complete them with your sense of speed, your wall sticking abilities, and your Titan use. You should play Titanfall 2, because there's more to it than I want to show you in this video. Speaking of which, if the game was just about pitting you against other entities with your own abilities and their own titans, your superpowers would probably feel a little lackluster. Fortunately, the game populates its world with trimmings to support your narrative. Those AI-driven enemies from the main campaign are present in the multiplayer too, designed to be easy kills for pilots, as well as add some narrative to your game and show your superiority over the common soldier, robot and mini-titan. Matches are bookended with small bits of storytelling. At the beginning, you jump into the map via a space shuttle, and in the epilogue, the losing side can retreat back to the shuttles to escape defeat. If the winning team doesn't blow it up first. In the single player, Titanfall 2's almost toyetic qualities are exemplified more, as well as better fleshing out characters you get glimpses of in the multiplayer. You're also pitted against custom characters designed to be your rogues gallery, complete with their own custom titans, quirks and introductions. It's a game that's built to put you at the centre of its action, to make you feel like a super soldier that can turn the tide in both single and multiplayer campaigns, and one that always celebrates your achievements, even when you fall off platforms or come bottom of the table in multiplayer. Its systems come together to create a game that scratches an itch that gaining experience points so opening loot boxes can't. It's not just about the reward, it's about the in-between. The matches and the scenario are the reason to play the game. It's why I stripped the game of its UI, to reduce the noise and immerse you in the experience as intended. And that's the thing. Over the course of this video, I've explained as best I can how the game feels great to play, while showing examples of that in action. I've made references to other games it emulates and is inspired by. I've talked about its core design and aesthetic, and even drilled into the reasoning for making this video. But in reality, this is only my opinion of the game. It's possible that my restraint in spilling its best tricks, or even how my argument has been presented, may put you off the game. It's also possible that first-person shooters just aren't your bag. But I think the biggest attraction of the medium of selling the game to you misses Titanfall 2's most crucial element, one that audio and video can't do justice for. And you'll know it when you have a controller in your hands or a keyboard beneath your fingers. To be completely honest, a big reason why I think you should play it is that I don't want this to be a franchise snuffed out too soon. There's room for improvement, but so much more for new applications of its systems. Its single-player campaign is a recipe book for a litany of levels that can spring forward, while its multiplayer can always reinvent the arena around its hooks. The developers can even blend the two together, creating a kind of persistent battlefield where story missions can turn the tide of a longer, fuller match. A Titanfall 3 could be one thing, but Titanfall spin-offs are another. But that won't happen if the publisher doesn't know that there is an interest in Titanfall. and while my voice is only one in a sea of thousands, I hope that it might inspire more. But that only comes with giving it a try yourself. You should play Titanfall 2, because I think you'll like it. I genuinely hope you like it as much as I do, and that your own experiences might inspire more content around the game. Let me know in the comments below what you think, whether you've already played it or thinking about it, or if this has convinced you to spend some time with Titanfall 2.